Welcome back to World Crisis Radio. So, dear critics of the euro, your job is to fight the banks. Remember, if you're not fighting bankers, you are spinning your wheels. And if Goldman Sachs is attacking you and saying, let's smash the euro, and you say, yeah, let's do what Goldman Sachs wants, then you go into the dustbin of history. You will be victims of a terrible situation. So rather than let the speculators destroy the euro, why not fight speculation now? Because you might say, well, no, we'll fight speculation when we get the D-mark and the drachma back. By that time, you will be in chaos. You will be under dictatorship. You will not be able to organize anything. You will be gone. You will be muzzled. You will be silenced. So your chance now is you still have relatively acceptable economic conditions in the sense that you can still organize, right? It hasn't gotten to absolute chaos in society, grave though the situation is, and therefore you ought to take advantage of that. So the 5 points are, first of all, shut down the zombie banks, right? Don't try to pay off the Irish derivatives. Shut them down. Wipe them out. Ban speculation. Fight it with a equivalent of a Tobin tax, a Wall Street sales tax for Europe. Ban the activities of hedge funds in most cases. Ban the collateralized debt obligations, credit default swaps. So you basically wiped out derivatives between direct bans and taxation. Re-regulate commodities markets to prevent those abuses. Make sure that reaches especially into the London and New York markets. So that's number one. Secondly, you've got to seize control of the European Central Bank. You've got to take that power away from this unelected committee of finance oligarchs, and you got to put that into the hands of a European policy-making body. And if that's the European Parliament, then that will make the European Parliament more interesting. Otherwise, what are you going to do? Give it back to the free market? The free market means the wonderful gentlemen from Deutsche Bank who have gotten into this situation. So what's the alternative? If you believe in democratic republic representative government, it's got to go somewhere, and ultimately some kind of European Parliament has to be the way in which you would do this. You by the way, you didn't get to the euro by chance. In other words, the idea that in a world of continental megastates of the size of Russia or the United States or Canada or Brazil or China, you can't seriously expect to continue with some place like Luxembourg and use that as a currency in international trading. So this is the situation. Fight the speculators, seize the European Central Bank, then get your infrastructure and your 0% European credit for production going. Your fourth point is that using the revenues from that Tobin tax, you will save your European safety net, all of your unemployment benefits, your family allowances, old age pensions, medical expenditures. Those will be funded, and the financiers, the hedge fund hyenas, will pay. The fifth point, obviously, then, is you've got to get some kind of a system where you have the dollar, the euro, the yen, the renminbi of China, the ruble, emerging regional currencies, and so forth. These have got to come back to fixed parities along the Bretton Woods line. And at the end of the process, once you've stabilized that, you really ought to go towards gold settlement among the nations. The gold settlement would be not among individuals, but among the participating nations in the system. So gold emphatically does have a role, but not to limit the credit issuance of this entire system. So that those are the basics of this kind of an approach. And in the process, of course, you got to arrest those guys from Standard & Poor's, from Fitch, and from Moody's, because that's an international criminal enterprise. You got to put out Interpol warrants for those people. Otherwise, if you think that the restoration of the D-mark is the key to economic recovery, you have fallen prey to the fetishism of money. You have fallen prey to alienation, because what you're doing is you're taking the productive power of, let's say, the German economy and projecting that into a piece of paper or metal coins. It's not where it's located. It's located in the mental capital the scientific and technological development of the German workforce. That's your resource, and similarly for the other countries. Now, let's apply this to the situation in Spain. We saw these Spain demonstrations, and a couple of things to be said about this, right? As usual, we have youth with no leadership. There is no leadership. It is a leaderless group. They have no leaders, no program, and no organization, except then, in reality, they do have some kind of a leader, because there's somebody who's got the ability to impose the method of assemblies where nothing can be done unless there is a consensus. Now, I guess this comes from certain